No other world community of nations can tolerate deliberate deception and offensive threats on the part of any nation.
I will make you understand.
Hey everybody, I'm Tony Jones, and welcome to the Tony Jones Show.
It's not enough. People are willing to take the risk. It's just sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
The Tony Jones Show, featuring punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, and Providence, Rhode Island's finest, starts right now.
He's a dangerous militia member, I hear. Oh, and there she blows.
This is Rock and Roll Radio. Come on, let's rock and roll with the Ramones.
Friends, the time for mediocrity in broadcasting is over. My name is Tony Jones, and you are listening to Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve broadcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. George Garner. George, good evening.
Good evening.
We just kicked things off with a little Ramones off of my least favorite Ramones album, which has some of my most favorite Ramones songs. You just heard Rock and Roll Radio. Possibly, if Tony Jones had a theme song, that would be mine. That's off of End of the Century. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget Facebook.com/The Tony Jones Show. On Twitter, at Tony Jones NRI. And of course, TonyJones.org is my website. And I will be checking in there all night long. We're going to count you down right into the new year. Fantastic show on tap for you for the first hour. My pal, my co-host, P.O. Taxpayer, he is here. He's co-host of The Coalition at coalitionradio.us. We're going to talk news and current events from the past year. Then in the second hour, we're going to talk with the man who on his business card describes himself as a musician, writer, marketer, and wanderer. Patrick Simus is in the house. He's in the green room. He's tuning up right now. So the second hour, he's going to be here. He's going to perform live for you. And then for the third hour, as we count it down into 2014, we will count down the top 5 alternative rock songs of the past year. But in true, see other channels, George, they're going to bore you with the top 10 or the top 20 or the top... Nobody cares.
No, they don't.
That's stupid. So we're going to count down the top 5 alternative rock songs, but I will mix it in with some of my favorite local music. So see what I did there, guys?
That will work.
That is why... possibly we are the only live and local New Year's Eve broadcast in this market.
No one dares challenge us.
The third year in a row, I can wear that moniker. Everybody else... See, there's something that killed radio. It's a thing called autoplay, which is you take a bunch of crappy music, you upload it to a computer, and you just let it play and play and play. So every other channel, that's what they have right now as they count into New Year's Eve.
Right, and they think that people don't recognize the difference.
It's a dirty little secret, but we expose dirty little secrets right here on Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve broadcast. So everybody else is out having a good time or they're at home sleeping. We are here live with you, as always, for our third year in a row. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. People are checking in. And I have some requests coming in, so I'm going to get to those, but I don't have my glasses on right now. So if you're clicking in on Facebook or Twitter, I have no idea, but I will get to that, of course. We'll talk current events in just a little while, but before that, we're going to hear some local-ish music, George. We've been playing this a lot on the Tony Jones Show over the past year. It's the Charms off of Charmed, I'm sure. This is a track called Top Down, which, dare I say, is the perfect theme song for everybody heading out on the town tonight, getting in the car. So if you're listening there, be safe, have fun, look out for the revenue collectors, be vigilant, and this is your theme song as you head out. It's Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve.
Told your mama you're out with the boys, yeah. And I feel like
Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve broadcast, live and local. Thank you all for tuning in once again. Let's talk current events. Let's talk this past year. George Garner is here, my co-host, here on the Tony Jones Show, and a 990 WBOB personality. And the PO taxpayer is here, co-host of the Coalition, over at coalitionradio.us. Gentlemen, good evening.
Tony,
Good evening.
I just want you to know that if I had a personal Ramones theme song, it would be Lobotomy.
We just heard from the Charms, Top Down, and while we were listening to that song, George was kind enough to remind me that it's about 20 degrees out. So,
Yes, so only the hardy breed will be cruising with the top down tonight. But go for it, if by all means.
well, if the legal department is listening, I did not advocate driving around in 20 degrees with the top down. Secondly, a lot of people that we know are charitable folks, and they'll be jumping in the ocean tomorrow to raise money for charity. So a little top down might be some practice for tomorrow,
or maybe an event in itself.
So a whole lot of stuff went down last year. A lot of national, a lot of local. I want to talk a little bit about the always luxurious Hillary Clinton.
People could have known that within days, and they didn't know that.
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make? It is our job to figure out what happened and do everything we can to prevent it from ever happening again.
Now, in my humble opinion, whether you like it or not, 2016, which is far ahead, is Hillary Clinton's to lose. Is that little clip of her freaking out is Benghazi our
Short attention span. The short attention span theater that is the American body politic will have long forgotten it by then, in a sort of a collective daze of American Idol / whatever, Honey Boo Boo / Honey Boo Boo and fatigues maybe at that point, Honey Boo Boo doing duck hunting at that point. It's if you could overcome on the advent of an American presidential election the scandal in Benghazi, if you can somehow make that go away, nothing matters. It's breathtaking.
And keep in mind, too, there's a long tradition of, American political leaders sending Americans off to die or letting them die or, in foreign countries. For example, I'm thinking of Ronald Reagan, who got like 250 of our Marines killed in Beirut. Bill Clinton, who got our forces killed in Somalia and Black Hawk Down. And, it doesn't seem to matter as much as it used to.
Now, what we talk about both on the Tony Jones Show and on the Coalition is that media now lives in perpetuity. So, playing devil's advocate, back then it was a lot easier to put something on the back burner. The clip we just played of Hillary Clinton going nuts was easily accessible. Right before the show, I did some show prep. I got the clip, and we were able to play it on the air via YouTube. Yep. So, with media living in perpetuity, it seems a little bit harder for people to wiggle out of things.
Well, except for PO, like just not to jump in on any of that, PO, but you made a good point with the short-term memory. I mean, that's a constant. That doesn't change. It's part of the American character.
Well, you also have to have a legitimate opposition that decides to use the ammunition. I mean, what's the old term, political cliche? Keep your powder dry. I mean, at this point, I think they're going back to the Dole election in terms of keeping their powder dry, because ultimately, the doomed Republican Party really doesn't want to take on Obama, the Clintonistas, anyone on any of these issues because of their own house of horrors. They are moral and political failures, and they're cowards. Mitt Romney had, it was fresh on every American's lips what was going on in Benghazi. What was amazing was, and you had, within days, you had a world televised debate where he could have clubbed Obama with this and chose not to. Now, that may be a reflection of Americans not wanting Republicans to bully Democrats. Democrats are allowed to bully Republicans. But I think it's ultimately a recognition that there is no two-party system left in this country, that ultimately the Democrats and the Republicans march to the same tune. They just have different clothing styles.
Now, as a person who is personally considering running for office in this upcoming election, I kind of relate with this issue because all I can picture is that Tony Jones runs for office, he's doing well, and then a YouTube video surfaces of me getting smashed in the head with a steel chair or, jumping off a roof or
crowd surfing at a punk club.
Whatever, yeah. Falling off an amplifier, throwing up, whatever it may be. So it really is, and we talk about it a lot, again, on both shows, a whole new media landscape, which I personally love, and it's part of the reason why we're here tonight instead of out in Times Square in New York City. And this is probably the worst segue I have ever done in my radio career. However, online I did have a request for one of the best punk bands from back in the day, the Buzzcocks. So we were just talking about...
Let's just say there's been no segue at all.
We were just talking about Hillary Clinton, and now we have a track by the Buzzcocks. It's called Orgasm Addict.
Well, you tried it just for once, found it alright for kicks, but now you find out that it's a habit that sticks, and you're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. Sneaking in the back door with dirty magazines, so your mother wants to know what all the stains on the jeans, and you're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. You get in the heat, you're getting assault, but you still keep a beating your meat to pulp, and you're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. You're a Casanova, you're an Ocho Zephyr. Live on a fucking yourself to death. Orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. You're making out with school kids, winos and heads of state. You've even made it with a lady who puts the little plastic bunnies on the Christmas cakes. Butchers, assistants and bellhops, you've had them all here and there. Children of God and the joy strings, international women with nobody hair. Ooh, so well you're asking every nanny and your voice ain't steady. The sex mechanics rock, you're more than ready. You're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict. Johnny won't fuck you always and always. He's got the energy, he will amaze. He's an orgasm addict. He's an orgasm addict. He's always at it. He's always at it. And he's an orgasm addict. He's an orgasm addict. Come on, Dad, get with the jive. Let's let him know that we're alive until the break of dawn. We'll live for more, more, more. Gonna live it up and tear it down. Get in the groove and paint the town. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Well, now, baby, baby, let's go tonight together, you and me. Baby, baby, when you hold me tight, ooh-wee, what you do to me? The big black hands on the clock tell me that it's time to rock. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Dig that beat with a crazy bop when the lights are low and the music's hot. Dance from 2 to 3 and then a 4:30. When that sun beats over the hill, I won't stop, I'll be rocking still. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Well, now, baby, baby, let's go tonight together, you and me. Baby, baby, when you hold me tight, ooh-wee, what you do to me? The big black hands on the clock tell me that it's time to rock. Got a lot of rhythm in my soul. Well, now, baby, baby, let's go tonight together, you and me.
little something for our over-the-air listeners going back to 1957. You just heard from Patsy Cline, Got a Lot of Rhythm. Before that, Going Out by Request, you heard from the Buzzcocks, Orgasm Addict, the name of that track.
Which followed a discussion of Hillary Clinton. My stomach is still turning over.
I can't believe you're still here. You are tuned in to Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve broadcast online, facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, and on Twitter @Tony Jones NRI. I get information that there's some folks out there this evening. They're having parties, and we are their party soundtrack this evening. So thank you for tuning in. I will do my best to get to all the requests as we continue on. We're going to talk the issues of the day. George Garner, my co-host, is here. P.O. Taxpayer, my co-host from the Coalition, is here. And this past year, we saw something that the world has not seen in 600 years. And I'll preface this by saying I am not a Catholic, but we saw a new pope. What do you guys think?
I'm kind of confused. Ultimately, the new pope has attracted... I mean, talk about strange bedfellows. You've got the ultra-left and the Green Party embracing the pope. You've got traditionalist Catholics, including our Archbishop here in Rhode Island, taking sort of muted pot shots at the Pope.
Butting heads with the guy.
Right, exactly. You have folks like Noam Chomsky, a great interview, which, by the way, is posted up on our coalitionradio.us and our blog spot, supporting the Pope, and yet at the same time, you've got traditionalists in the American political structure all of a sudden using the M word, Marxist, because of the type of liberation theology that was espoused by folks from his congregation, in the 80s, 70s, and 80s in the down in Central America. So you've just got this great big stew of chaos. I want to see where where it hits the road. I want to see actually when the rhetoric stops and actually events start to take place before I make a judgment call on just how effective and just how much of a man of the people this guy's going to be.
I'm not sure it's going to make that much difference, because I think even though we have a pope who basically, he's being called a Marxist, but what he's trying to do is go back to the scripture according to Jesus Christ, which is not a bad thing. But I just think that from the point of view of the relevancy of the Catholic religion, I think it's too little too late. And he's not touching on, I know the sore point with me as far as, okay, how out of it are these people, is the whole contraception thing. Mm-hmm. He doesn't seem to be ready to revolutionize the church's stance on that. I mean, which to me is, that's the main issue. If you're going to bring the Catholic Church kicking and screaming into the 21st century, I mean, you have to address things like that. Other than that, it's just cosmetic.
Well, throughout history, the Catholic Church can be seen as an oppressor of minority rights and of the poor, while at the same time profiting mightily from them. One needs only look at ethnic communities across the world. Look at Poland in the 80s, where there was a strict adherence to conventional Catholicism because of oppression from another source. While at the same time, outside of a few examples, look at the Irish issue. They never overtly espouse any type of revolution. Now, if you're saying they're going to dial it all the way back 2,000 years to a religion which preaches love and tolerance, well, that's a wonderful thing, because you've depoliticized the religion. You've stepped away from this elitist corporation that has sucked up resources from around the world, and you're getting to the roots of the religion.
Yeah, and I do, like I say, my personal intuition is that this guy is sincere. He's an unwilling pope. He's doing the best he can, but he's going to do it according to his own inner lights. And but like I say, I don't think all that's going to matter too much. I think as the saying goes, the horse has left the barn.
And George, you went to Catholic school, right? You grew up.
I did. I grew up Catholic. Yep.
I was an altar boy for 11 years.
Wow, that's a scary thought. Do you still have the uniform?
I was going to wear it tonight.
I think I might still have a picture of myself in the uniform, if that will do. The funny thing, though, is, I do, based on my years in a Catholic school, I do have a high respect. I will not talk bad about a Catholic education.
Right.
Because even though, put us through a little bit of religious training. I got the best secular education along with it. By the time I went to high school, I knew most of the subjects that we were taught in high school, through the Catholic school, teaching. So I'll tell you, I guess what we got, and this now I won't say my exact age because it's depressing, but by the time I went to Catholic school, I guess we were getting a little bit of Catholic light. I guess was after was it Vatican II when they changed?
Yeah, George, you and I are about the same age. So there was all of a sudden you had instead of the mean nun, you had the nice nun who sang Kumbaya and we Godspill and even Jesus Christ Superstar if you were on the bleeding edge, if you will.
Actually, I think our school play during one of those years was Fiddler on the Roof.
Where is Wild Side?
That's impressive.
But to me, ultimately, is the church willing to embrace liberation theology in the mainstream? It was always the Jesuit element throughout Central America and some isolated parts of the world where they were willing to take an activist role in an economy to try and overcome the Pinochets of the world, the brutal, ruthless dictators. Are they willing to do that, and in doing so, challenge actual political institutions? That's where the rubber meets the road, my friend. If they're willing to do that, then you can see the potential for real change.
So, and I'm not a Catholic, and I respect all religions. I would consider myself mostly to be a Unitarian, but what's disheartening to me is that if you go into any Catholic church, your first 3 or 4 rows are little old ladies who are barely getting by, who are barely eating. They're eating cat food, and they're throwing their whole month's check in the offering plate.
Well, that really isn't Catholic doctrine so much as it is basic Christian doctrine, right, from the Scriptures.
I guess that's true.
The whole idea being,
well, tithing. I mean, if you
it's not just tithing though. It goes right back to the Jesus'
giving
teaching.
Till it hurts.
Well, not only give till it hurts, but give because it doesn't matter. In other words, give to your fellow human being because it doesn't matter. I mean, basically, to bring in another religion, all you're doing is accumulating good karma for the next, for the journey to heaven. In other words, it's a way of trivializing your life here on earth.
So I have the Pixies queued up, one of the best Boston bands around. After this, I want to talk a little bit about the alphabet soup of scandals that took place over this past year. It just seemed like every time you turn around, there was some crazy, kooky scandal going down. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. You're tuned in to Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve.
I'll tell you, we are doing terrible with the segues, aren't we? Well, we are almost anti-segue tonight.
Segues are for wimps, as far as I'm concerned. We'll hear from the Pixies now off of Doolittle. This is a track called Debaser.
Gouge away. You can gouge away. Stay all day if you want to.
Sappho said, don't pry the stone. I'm sitting here singing all alone, strumming like a train unbound, like a river running out of town, blacker than the blackest stone, and older than a feast of bones, unforgiving like you and me. This old river rides out to sea. You're gonna ride away like that river in a parade of tears and scars. It's gonna take you away to stay. Oh, the river casts a net of stars. River rides along and I wish I was Robert Bly. I'm weeping whiskey just for you. I'm keeping busy being blue. Without the devil, my pockets are empty. And without you, my burden's so heavy. The river rides on without me. This old river rides out to sea. You're gonna ride away like that river in a parade of tears and scars. Oh, it's gonna take you away to stay. Oh, the river casts a net of stars. You're gonna ride away like that river in a parade of tears and scars. Oh, it's gonna take you away to stay. Oh, the river casts a net of stars. Oh, the river casts a net of stars.
It rocks, it rolls. It's Tony Jones's Rockin' New Year's Eve broadcast, live and local, here with you on the radio. Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show. On Twitter, @TonyJonesNRI. Thank you all for checking in via social media this evening. Don't forget to check out TonyJones.org and, of course, CoalitionRadio.us. P.O. Taxpayer from the aforementioned Coalition Radio is here. P.O.
Hey now.
And, of course, we have my co-host, Mr. George Garner. George, good evening.
Good evening, of course.
Let's talk about this past year, it seemed like, and I'm a guy who pays attention to media for lots of different reasons. It seemed like, even I got sick of them, it seemed like every time you turned around there was some kind of crazy alphabet soup scandal going on. IRS, NSA. It continues. It goes on, and it seemed largely that people turned a blind eye to a lot of the scandals of this past year.
I wonder if the 24-hour news cycle hasn't permanently exhausted the American public from displaying any level of outrage, or is that the dumbed-down culture has essentially turned them into sort of soporific stupors, where they, march aimlessly through their lives, worried about paying the bills, paying the mortgage, getting their kids through college, and at the same time, essentially having given up. You got to wonder.
Or watching the news channel that has the anchors with the shortest skirts.
Yeah, well, there's another little thing to consider here. How many of these scandals over the past year really matter? I mean, as far as this privacy thing, I mean, the government's listening to us like we didn't know that. We're giving all our personal information to Google and Facebook anyway. It's being stored in a gigantic data bank. I say, to me, that's almost a non-issue. I mean, just assume that somebody's listening to you at all times, and you'll be fine.
That there is no privacy.
There is take as the basic assumption there is no privacy, and you're good to go. Well, the reassuring thing about that is that there's so much information that's flooding the internet, that's flooding the airwaves, that's flooding the media. You're not important enough for the government to notice. Just so be reassured by that. we are all a bunch of non-entities in the computer algorithm's eyes. Unless you try to do something like blow up, a major building or landmark or assassinate the president, you are not going to be noticed. So don't worry about it.
If you're deleting your browser history, it should be so your wife or your girlfriend doesn't find out what you're looking at.
Exactly. Delete your booty call by all means before your girlfriend and or your hoe or your wife get to it. But other than that, don't worry about it.
Well, there was an article in this week's Wall Street Journal, I believe it was on Wednesday, where they talked about that and this is a new spin if you're from the government. Not only are we here to help you, but at the same time we're such a hopeless mess that we don't know what to do with all the data we've got. That was the spin, sort of the heartwarming, reassuring, feel-good moment of the week from the NSA, which was to say, yes, we're great at collecting all this data, but we have no idea what we're doing with it. Now, I still take umbrage. I guess, I'm not doing anything that exciting in life, believe me.
You're here.
I'm here. It's Saturday night. Is it Saturday night? I don't even know anymore. All right? But I still take umbrage at the notion that you've got this overarching, what did the Obaministas call it, the federal family, all right, that are going to take care of us from cradle to grave because it creates a dependency nation. We are a dependency through slavery nation now, and this is just one more part of it. I still get my back up over that. That still pisses me off.
I guess that's a pretty good segue to talk a little bit about quote-unquote Obamacare, because if you shopped at Target on Black Friday, 4 million people had their data breached and possibly hacked, and 1 million people, George, you being one of them, have successfully signed up for Obamacare.
Yes, I did, and it was a pretty much painless process. I went online. And I hate to give the government or the state of Rhode Island credit for anything, but I went online. The application was pretty straightforward. I got bogged down in one spot because they asked me for a piece of information or questioned a piece of information. I called, waited 20 minutes online to speak to a representative who was very knowledgeable, answered all the questions, solved the problem, made some notes in my account, and over the course of 20 minutes, I have Blue Cross.
By the way, as a communications guy, this free PR that Walgreens is getting by offering people free prescriptions if they haven't signed up yet, I mean, everybody is talking about Walgreens. What a fantastic move.
Yeah.
You see, what's interesting to me is that the government is now spinning the success of what is essentially a very superficial website, the type of website that was pioneered 20 years ago by mutual insurance and independent insurance agents, as being somehow evocative of the greater success of the Obamacare. The reality, though, is that there's two issues, two separate worlds. There's the technical issue of the website, and then there's the whole notion of whether the significant amount of people are willing to pay more money for coverage that they don't need. Now, let's talk about the website for a second. While they've now mastered the art of essentially a Amazon dumbed-down website where you can put information in and it will store it, something that I think was accomplished by Lotus 123 in the early 80s. All right, what they have yet to discuss in public is what's supposed to happen with that data as it relates between interagencies. Everything you gave them is supposed to be reviewable by the IRS if, in fact, you're eligible for subsidies. And yet no one's talking about whether that's even technically possible at that point. Then, of course, take into account the incredibly shrinking number of people who have actually signed up for it. What they haven't disclosed yet is not, they focus on the amount of people who have signed up. What they haven't told us yet is how many people have actually paid for it. The do-re-mi? Anyone? So you haven't seen that. And then on top of that, I look at my situation personally. I went on the site to sign up.
Okay.
And it would cost me $4,000 to $5,000 a year in between a combination of a loss of a tax deduction, additional deductibles, and higher premiums. And I'm average guy, ham and egger, with 2 kids and a wife. I can't afford that.
I don't know. Maybe it's got something to do with family as opposed to individual.
Maybe
because the situation I find myself in is I'm paying a reasonable premium per month for top-notch health care.
I don't doubt that that's not possible, but I predict that we will find out eventually their whole goal was to collapse the system, because you're driving people at the family end and the small business end out of the market. We simply don't have the money for it.
No, I agree with you 100% there. I mean, even in my jubilation at, things apparently working out in my favor, no, I'm perfectly willing to acknowledge that, myself, I guess you would say lower tier of blue collar, okay, in my income. Yeah. So
you and me both.
Yeah. So it's working. It looks like it's going to work out for me. The wealthy have no problems as usual. Somebody is going to pay this extra premium that I'm not paying, obviously.
Right.
So I do say that it's not going to be a good thing for the, it's almost a cliche to put it this way, but it's not going to be a good thing for the middle class.
Right.
Because nobody else is going to be able to pay for this.
Well,
so, while I'm happy at my own good fortune, I do recognize, yes, there's a dark side to this whole business.
Now, the question is, the huge question is, the biggest question of that whole segment on Obamacare is, will you vote Democrat next election simply because you have some Obamacare?
Actually, I voted for Obama this past election, so it will really have... PO is... It's a good thing that we have better health care.
I'm coming to see you.
we have better health care access, hopefully, because PO is about to drop.
This is just another fantastic segue. We're going to hear from one of my favorite bands. They're called X, and this is a track called I'm Lost.
Excellent.